Alright. Hello and welcome to anyone watching this past, present, or future. And welcome to another installment of building Pokemon for D&D. And why don't I just get rid of Magic Pan, get rid of miscellaneous loading screen. Should probably have this as a generic loading screen on OBS. Would be smart. Anyway, so I'm just gonna head over to the interwebs and I'll introduce you to who we're doing tonight. If you already saw my tweet or have been talking to me, you probably would have known. But this is the last Pokemon that was planned for the original night I was doing the Pokemon builds. But tonight we are doing the Punk. We're gonna be doing Pangoro tonight. Now, Pangoro is an absolute delight. I love this boy. He's been one of my main boys in Gen 7, and a Pokemon that really made me go, what if I did play Sword and Shield when it came out? And I'm glad he's had a continuous record of appearing. A motivator for me to actually maybe give X and Y a shot another day to be playing in its debut generation. But yeah, really excited for Pangoro. Now I will say Pangoro was thought of when I was first thinking of these ideas for doing Pokemon builds on stream. Also, I'm gonna move interwebs here because we don't really go full screen till like around the end. So yeah, Pangoro is a pretty funky boy. For those who know Pangoro's lore, the idea of Pangoro is it starts off as a little Pancham, which is just a normal fighting type Pokemon. But when you level him up at a certain point with the Dark type on the team, he gets a bad influence and becomes this rowdy boy. And he is essentially this big, like, delinquent panda who will, he's very moody, but will not tolerate bullying. Like, if he sees you being mean, you will be past tense. And I really like him. He's very good. Very great boy. Alright, so, because I made him in the initial, a week ago that I was thinking about doing him, right? These were my original goals. Now, we're gonna change them a little bit, just because, again, it's been a hot minute. But what we want to do is, we're a Funchy boy. As far as I know, Pangoro has a lot of fists. He uses punchies. He's more of a bare bod fighter. I guess that's the way you can say bare-fisted, I guess. So we're gonna try and see what we can do with just our hands, instead of necessarily a weapon. We're gonna try and talk shit. I think we're gonna fix... Yeah, we're gonna want to hit and run to ideally do some damage and get away. Because there's a few reasons. One, we hit really hard, and two, Pangoro has a signature move called Parrying Shot, where he demoralizes the opponent by just saying mean things to them, lowering both their attack and special attack, and then switches out. I think we're gonna switch out Run, but maybe add Mobility. Let's make that more talk shit, demoralize, book it. Because I don't really think it really fits into Hit and Run. Because when I was originally writing Hit and Run, I think I was thinking of trying to do more of like including mobile. But in the build I have in my mind, we may not really have a chance to add mobile, and we probably have better ways to do that. But instead, I think instead of Hit and Run, we're gonna try and make the goal bear time. We're gonna see how we can become bear, truly. Because although there's not a race in D&D that is quite fair, we can enter the most bear time. Anyone who's familiar with D&D will likely know what I'm talking about, but if you don't worry. We'll get there. And lastly, again, we need to talk shit, demoralize, and actually affect people with our words. So, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, there's gonna be some multiclassing here. However, Pangoro will be one of our first martial characters we've done here, and maybe faster. If it is significantly faster than I thought it would be, we may try and make another character, because I have many on the list, but I'm just letting you know, this is the only one I have left on my, on the slideshow. Anything else I have to make up front, but I have a whole list of ideas, so if this goes by really fast somehow, don't worry, we may have a backup if I feel there's enough time. Alright, so let's just get into it. Let's get into this rowdy boy. So, what is a Pangoro in true nature? Now, again, there's no bear race in D&D, but there's a lot of tough races in D&D. Now I'm gonna pull up our favorite site in the world, Wiki.com. Come over here. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, I see you, buddy. So, for Pangoro, we're gonna probably go for more tougher races. Now, when I think of tougher races, there's a few that come to mind. We probably want boys who are a bit bigger. So this usually gets into the idea of the half-orc, Goliath, or maybe Bugbear. And we could do custom lineage, but what I'm thinking, I don't think we'll need custom lineage. Because you know what? Custom lineage is great, but I like not using it when I don't need to. Because, fellas, good thing to think about when you make homebrew in general is ask yourself, do I have what I want mechanically here? Because if you can find the mechanics, you can reflavor it as much as you want. So, just keep that in mind. So I don't think we'll need custom lineage. And so it leaves us about 3 options. We're probably not going to do Bugbear, despite the fact it has the name Bear in it. Because Bugbear, surprisingly enough, is a goblin with very long arms. They're very dex-based, and they hit further away. And I don't really think that fits the idea that we have in my brain for Pangoro. So it's not going to be Bugbear. Goliath is very tempting, because that's a very big boy, has some strength and comm boosts, can reduce damage, and have a resistance to cold effects. Now, that's not quite what we're looking for. Pangoro is HP bulky, but I don't think he can... I would say if we had, like, a thing with Stone's Endurance, where a Goliath can roll a d12 and take that off the damage every now and then, that would... I feel like that would be better for more of a defensive boy. We're very offensive. So we're gonna go with half-orc for what we want. Orc was a consideration, but we may not talk about... Whoa. Oh, what happened? Oh, thank you for the follow, Witcher March. You just followed? That's crazy. I thought you were already following Witcher March. Well, thank you for the follow. We're getting very close to our stretch goal to get unlocking the Crown Tundra for the Pokemon Rock type run, so that's very exciting. But yeah, we're gonna go for a half-orc. Now, what half-orc lets us do is we're gonna have +2 to our strength and +1 to con. So that allows us to hit really hard and also stay in the fight a bit longer. Because Pangoro, his best stats, even in the game, is attack and HP. Dude, you're good, Retro March. Oh wow, and this is the first time you chatted. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, anyway, I'm glad you're in my wizard tower. So yeah, we're gonna be able to. So let's get things written down. Like this bullet. Yeah, that's right. He's a punk. He shoots things. So just get it. +2 strength, +1 con. So we have that for record if we ever need anything. We have 30-foot movement speed, because of course we do. We have dark vision. That's cool. I guess, you know what? Hey, wild thought. Can pandas see in the dark? Pandas are most active during night and the twilight hours. Their eyes have vertical, slit-shaped pupils similar to nocturnal creatures, which enable them to see in darkness. Well, that's a fun fact for any of you world builders out there, wondering, hey, how should I describe eyes for my nocturnal creature? Make them vertically slanted. Alright, so cool. It's appropriate that a panda would have dark vision. Fuck yeah. Panda approved dark vision. So you're like a majority of the D&D races. And we're gonna automatically have proficiency and intimidation, which is very good because we need to be a spooky punk. Because you see this boy? He may not have intimidate, but ooh man, oh buddy. He's a spookster. Wait, actually, what abilities does he get? And go! Cuban-like. It's Iron Fist of Moldbreaker. Ooh, or Scrappy. Okay. But yeah. So he hits really hard. Alright, so we're gonna get Intimidation Prof. Very good, very good. That's probably gonna be the only... our favorite social skill that we're gonna have. We're gonna get Relentless Endurance, which is a very, very great ability. And personally one of my favorites in the game. Which is essentially... if you get a hit that would take you down to 0, once a day you can go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not at 0, I'm at 1. And it can keep you in a fight in a good pinch, especially if it's like the healer's next turn, or if you could do something to preserve yourself. It's very good, and I really like it for the flavor of this, like, punk, of, like, you know, this, like, punk bear to, like, take this powerful blow, especially against, like, other fighting types. Doing like the classic spits out something, smears blood out of the mouth with their hand, and still in it. Like, oh, I love it. Alright, Relentless Endurance, and we're gonna get Savage Attacks. Now, Savage Attacks is essentially a buff to your crits. When you score a critical hit with a melee attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice an additional time and add it to the extra damage of the crit. So, for anyone who doesn't know, in Rules as Written, or Raw, a critical hit in D&D is double the dice. So essentially, in early game, when you're not dealing with a lot of dice, or even if you were just like what Half-Orc's really made for is for like a fighter or barbarian like class, you could have some, like if you're a barbarian with a great axe, you get that crit, you get 3d12 instead of 2d12. So you could theoretically triple your damage instead of double your damage, which is really cool. And even if you're doing a half-orc rogue, that's very good, because that just means you have a bunch of d6s plus 1. It's very good. It's very good. Alright, and we just know work. Panda speak. We're just gonna flavor orc as panda speak, because that's what they are, don't you know? Now, background is something I had to think about, because I thought a little bit about this build, and one, what direction I wanted to go, but I kind of want to consider the flavor of it, because we gotta keep in mind, Pangoro wasn't always this punk. He was once this funny little lad. He's a playful guy. So let's look over some Pancham lore and sort of see what was his vibe before he became the punk. You know, what made him, what motivated Pancham to become Pangoro, to become this punk to protect the others. Oh, this little guy. Alright, let's see. This is best to be taken seriously by its enemies, but its glare is not sufficiently intimidating. Chewing on a leaf, it's its trademark. Alright, so he's trying to be a spooky little guy. It does its level best to glare and pull a scary face, but it can't help but grimace if anyone pats its head. Aw, okay. So as a kid, they tried to... I feel like they had to grow into their spookiness. They didn't start off spooky. They tried to be spooky when they were young, but couldn't quite do it. It grows up intimidating the behavior of Pangoro, which it looks up as a leader. There's no point to the leaf in its mouth, aside from an effort to look cool. It's mischievous, so it's not well suited to inexperienced trainers. It follows Pangoro like a henchman. Pancham makes a big mistake. Its leaves gets taken away. Oh no! It's desperate to intimidate its opponents. Be nice and patient to be scared if you're... Be nice and pretend to be scared if it glares at you intimidatingly. Aww. It chooses Pangoro as its master and imitates its master's actions. This is how it learns to battle and hunt for prey. Wanting to make sure it's taken seriously, Pancham always giving others a glare, but if not focusing, it ends up smiling. Okay. So it sounds like how the setting Pangoro is, like a young Pangoro seemed to be someone who was inspired by someone who was really cool and tried to imitate them. So they wanted to be someone else. You know, they wanted someone, they looked up to someone and tried to go up from there. So let's see what we can get that gets that vibe of someone trying to, like, who would they be inspired to do? Who would they be inspired by and try to reenact? So, I haven't seen Athlete. What is this one? Okay, this one's from Theros. Alright, so yeah, I don't see, looking at this, I don't see Pangoro being really I see him being athletic. I don't see him being very acrobatic. Cause like, I could see Pancham being acrobatic. I don't see Pangoro being acrobatic. Like, they seem more of a bulk guy. But it could be something. Because I do like the idea that, like, maybe they saw, like, a really cool, like, wrestler or boxer or something that they really were inspired by, and it wasn't until they had a bad influence or something until they were, like, really being, or, ooh, maybe they were inspired by, like, a heel or something. Like, they really like the idea of, like, how this one, like, if we were in a wrestling match, right? Like, they like the heel who maybe had, like, a delinquent vibe, like a troublemaker, so they tried to adopt elements of that into their, into what would become their style. That could be a good idea. And he definitely did not start off as a criminal. He may become a criminal later, but I don't think Pangoro, I don't think Pancham would be inspired by a criminal. Not initially. Because that's a lot more stealth skills. It's like a folk hero. Because folk hero could be something I could see them being really inspired by. Okay, so if he got athlete or folk hero, he would be able to drive, which I think is important, because that means Pangoro could then have a motorcycle, which I think that's just dumb and cool. We also could have an artisan's tool, but he would have animal handling and survival, which I don't think are quite Pangoro skills. So right now we're looking at athlete. Because I don't think gladiator's quite right. Let's see. A knight? No, I don't think that's where Pangoro would get a bad influence, even though they would be cops. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll go athlete. Because I like the idea, I really do like this idea of, like, Pangoro being inspired by, like, a heel. Like, and that's where, like, they take some of their, like, aesthetics, like, maybe that's why they try to do, like, the leaf or bamboo thing. Like, maybe, like, the big wrestlers' whole deal was that they were maybe, like, someone who had, like, a big cigar or something and used those to, like, blind or try to do, like, tricks to, like, put smoke in someone's eye to, like, burn them a little bit. But he was, like, too young and he couldn't smoke. And so he did that. Like, he just did that when he was young, just had, like, a leaf or, like, a straw and did that instead. Or, oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. Alright, cool. So we're gonna have an athlete background. Like, I feel like Pangoro went in initially trying to, like, when they were young Pancham, they tried to go into sports, they tried to be like their inspiration, and maybe things didn't go right from there. Like, maybe they learned that, like, the wrestling was fake or something, and they got into, like, a bad group because of that, because they wanted to, like, be real. Like maybe he's hung out, like, oh wait, no, okay. So here's, like, an idea for Pangoro. Like, Pangoro when he was a young Pancham was, like, very optimistic, very much, like, thought the heel was, like, really cool. Like, you could win by doing some real underhanded, like, not only with strength but, like, with wit, you know? Like, I think Pangoro found that, like, really cool. And then they grew up and they wanted to, like, join, like, the same kind of, like, wrestling or boxing or, like, MMA sort of style of fighting. And then when he learned that, like, oh, it's all rigged, like, that's crazy, I want to fight for real. And, like, maybe he hangs out with, like, a lot of the other heels, tries to convince them, like, dude, here's how we really, like, yeah, we're gonna win this fight, so why don't we really convince them that we win and just go really hard? And so, like, maybe he gets kicked out from, like, his wrestling ring because they realize, like, hey man, you're going a bit too far. And he's like, nah, you're not going far enough, kid. And, like, I feel like that one might be what makes him, like, hardened and like, really aggressive, is the fact that he can't accept that like, wrestling's fake and wants to make it real. And maybe that's why he does adventuring, is because maybe he thinks he wants to have the real sport, the real fight. Fuck yeah. Alright, so we're gonna do, first up, we're gonna go to the format. Athlete, we're gonna get proficiency in athletics and acrobatics. Acrobatics, let's pick athletics. Let's see what else did we get? We can drive. Can drive. Unlicensed. Yeah, because Pangoro doesn't drive with license. Not anymore. Let's see, he can speak another language. What would be a really fun language for him to have? Thieves' Cant's not one, but I feel like that would be a really fun one to be like, oh yeah, the language of cheaters. Let me see. feel like my boy knows Goblin. That's just what my heart says. My heart of hearts says he knows Goblin. Gonna have bronze. He's got a bronze. Oh. Ooh. Ooh, should he have a frisbee or a basketball? I think it's kind of funny if Pangoro just had a basketball with him. Basketball on hand. His Lucky Charms is this little bamboo stick. Lucky Bamboo. We've got 10 bucks. Well, not really 10 bucks, but like money. Alright, cool. Now we go into stats. No, we'll do the abbreviations. Dex. Con. Alright, so once again, I'm looking at standard stat array, because one day I'll learn it. It's not today. Stat array 5E. So our priority is going to be... Ooh, actually, why don't we make that 15 in con, so we get a 16 there. Because we get the +1 to con, correct? Yes. And we give that 14 to make that a 16 because of our +2 strength. So that's our best numbers, for sure. Our next number we're gonna have is we're gonna have 13 in charisma. Because that's gonna come up later. That's a helpful tool that'll help us out for later. Oh, nope. Alright, so we're gonna have a +1. Now... Okay, so... I'm gonna make a controversial decision here. I think I'll make his wisdom better than his dex. And here's why. One, you see Pangoro. You see the absolute unit that is Pangoro, right? Now let's even check his speed, because he's probably not a fast boy. He's not really that fast. So, yeah, I'm gonna make his wisdom higher because I believe in his Pokedex entries here, there's quite a lot of to describe that he can that he uses bamboo leaf to like predict where people are going. So he's probably got a little bit of insight to know like, hey, where's this looking like it's going before he beats people up. So he's got to like, he has a little bit of an insight. Not a lot, but like maybe a bit more than the average person, which is what a +1's supposed to be. Dex is gonna be a modest 10. He's gonna be a 0, and well, let's just say Pangoro, a young Pancham, invested more into getting into wrestling rings than he did wanting to study books. I feel like the only lore he knows is of wrestlers he was really fixated on as a kid. So yeah, that's what we're looking at, which is pretty good. He's got really good stats of what he needs to be, and we've got really what we need. That's going to be really good because we are going to go into some multi-class wackiness as we go on. So keep that in mind. We'll be going a few places. But first, to start at level 1. Now, I'm thinking this is with the Pancham. Right, we're starting off of when they were like really getting into like wrestling and trying to make this more real. Now, Pangoro learned how to fight. Like, not just recklessly, not just like brute strength, but like learning the methods of like, hey, here's how you do like the headlocks, here's how you try to flip people. Like, even if it was an act, he learned very dedicatedly how to fight. And for that, I'm gonna say we start off as a fighter. Wait, let me just check my formatting. No, I did it before. Okay, so I did it before. Okay, got it. Alright, so we're just gonna copy paste this. Wait. Format. Alright, now we copy paste this one, so we can use it for later. Alright, so let's look at what we get at Fighter Level 1. Level 1, Fighter. Alright, so right away, we're pretty bulky with a D10 for our hit points. We can basically use any weapon. So let's just go. So we got proficiency in strength and con saves, which is pretty good. Not super common, but when you need them, very great. You don't have to worry as much about being poisoned. And strength saving throws are not super common, but they really help on you standing your ground if you're getting pushed or moved around. And we already have acrobatics. We already have athletics. So I think for our 2 skills, we already have intimidation as well. So what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna do insight. And so we're gonna definitely have insight because I like the idea of Pangoro being able to... Hey, Silver Frog! We're making Pangoro. We found out that Pangoro, as a young Pancham, was inspired by heels and wrestling. Really wanted to join wrestling rings, then found out it was fake, and then was like, bullshit, I think it should be real, and tried to convince the other heels to try and make wrestling real and not just like a stunt. And so eventually Pancham was kicked out of the Sword Coast WWE. Yeah! No, Retro Build. That's what I love about doing this. If you want to see, I think I didn't do as much of an example with SnowRun, but if you want to see another great example, I have it on my YouTube. If you want to see me doing elaborate backstories like this, go to my YouTube and check out the Raichu build. It is 3.5 hours, but that is a very elaborate backstory of why Raichu is adventuring and how they become more lowland Raichu. It is my favorite part of these builds. But yeah, Pangoro wanted to make wrestling real. No one else liked it, and that's when they went off adventuring. So we're starting off when they were in their wrestling arc, and this is when they're level 1, and learning how to fight good. So they're gonna have proficiency. We're gonna give them insight because Pangoro knows how to read their opponents fairly well. Their bamboo is good for detecting on when their opponent is going to act up, right? To know their movements. So that's gonna be Pangoro's. That's gonna be how we flavor insight. But we really gotta think about our other skill because we already have intimidation because we've used the half-orc mechanics for Big Bear. I got acrobatics and athletics from our background. Why don't we give Pangoro proficiency in history? Because Pangoro was really inspired by wrestling rings. and sort of like knowing the lore and the story of these characters and trying to like imitate them, and like was there and would like hear things about like, oh no, you won't understand, when Big Johnny Blaze, my favorite person ever, was like just starting the ring, he couldn't have the cigar because they wouldn't let him smoke, so instead he would just throw ashtrays, and he would just get out ashtrays to smack people. But that was because when he was young, he met the Blaze King himself, who would like light his feet on fire with friction. He thought that was really cool. Or like just knowing, like I feel like wrestling was a big fixation for Pangoro. So he knows a lot about that history. History. Alright. So, we got that. And let's see. We can have chainmail. We'll just reflavor it as cool jacket. Because everything in D&D is just flavor. I say our boy is all martial. No shield. Two-hand axe kind of guy. Because he does not range fight, he just goes all in. I feel like he has an explorer's pack, whatever the hell that means. And at first level, he gets two things. One, he gets Second Wind. Second Wind is a pretty solid ability for fighter. So essentially, once per rest, so this could be if you take like an hour breather or a whole night's rest, as a bonus action in a fight, you can regain 1d10 plus your fighter level in health. So that's a good way for you to just like get your Second Wind, catch your breath, and go back in it. So we're gonna get Second Wind. Which is gonna help because we are already fairly bulky at this point in the game. We're good. We got a +3 con. We got a D10 hit die. We're doing pretty good. And secondly, at level 1, we get a fighting style. So this is essentially how we specialize our way of fighting around, right? So to do so, we're gonna use one of my favorite fighting styles, Unarmed Fighting. So this allows you to mechanically punch the shit out of anyone and not have to be a monk. Excuse me. And you may notice monks, how they typically fight is a lot more, they do martial arts, but how they do it is a lot more rapid fire. Like a monk at base will likely do more attacks than others, but have lighter hits. Like even at level 1, they could do 3 attacks, but they're all D4s for martial arts die. Even at level 5, they all become D6s. You already start off with D6. If you just punch someone, it does a D6 plus your strength modifier, which are, at our point, is 3 for damage. So that could be a minimum of 4 damage up to 9 damage. Or if we don't have a shield or dual wielding weapons, we can use both hands and make it a D8 instead. So we can hit really hard with just our fists. So we are going to do Unarmed Fighting, so we can get our Iron Fist-like ability and also just go knocking fuds on beating the shit out of people. Because you know what? I just think that's cool. I like it a lot. Alright, so that's basically what we get at first level. Yep. That's all we get at first level. Now, second level fighters, real simple. Real nice and simple. Gotta make that level 2. Now, second level fighters get a wonderful ability that really makes them it gives them the chance to go nucking futz. And this is Action Surge. And what Action Surge lets you do is, I believe, is it once per long rest or is it once per rest? Ooh, it's once per rest. So you can take an hour and get this back. You get this back at short rest. So if you're partying with a warlock, you could be doing this a lot. So Action Surge makes you go, oh, did you enjoy your turn? Do you want another one? Essentially, you could do 2 actions in a turn. So, say, whenever we get multi-attack, a normal character would only be able to make 2 attacks with an extra attack feature. A fighter can make that 4 attacks, because those 2 attacks with extra attack counts as 1 action. So, you could do a lot more potential DPS by hitting a lot. But you also can do other things if you really need to push yourself. So like say, if you felt like you wanted to do some damage, but you also needed to like run far away, you could theoretically punch the shit out of someone and use Action Surge to also disengage. If you needed to if you were a higher level fighter doing Eldritch Knight, you could beat the shit out, you can cast Fireball and beat the shit out of whoever's like looking worse. And with some fighters are unique in the sense that their main thing is hitting things a lot. So that means that fighters have the most attacks a player can do in the game. So Action Surge can make that really crazy, because a high level fighter can do up to 4 attacks, I believe. So you Action Surge it, you make it 8 attacks, which is insane. But that's what we're getting right now. It's not much, but it's really good at this point in the game. Now we get level 3. This is when the young Pan-Champ finally gets a good vibe of the wrestling ring, where they want to make things serious. They don't want to just like rough it out or pull some, power moves out of nowhere. This is when they actually know what the fuck they're doing. And for this, we're going to be going into the best fighter subclass in the game, Battle Master. Battle Master is essentially, how to put this? Battle Master is what fighter should be as a base class, but they decided not to. Steve's fingers washes. All right. Stepple's fingers. Oh, wait. You mean like Steeples? You mean like Staples' fingers? Alright, I'm not gonna let that ruin my flow, because I'm having a great time. So yeah, as a Battle Master, you get these sets of maneuvers that you can pick up. And whenever you use these maneuvers, which you pick 3. You can pick 3 of these maneuvers at this point, and you would get more as you get your class features. But these maneuvers use a thing called superiority dice, where they're D8, and they are often used for damage, maybe increasing AC, giving other people buffs. Really depends on what kind of fighting style you want. But the main thing about the maneuvers is that they're all about customizability and fleshing out how you fight. And these are all the maneuvers that you can learn, which is crazy because only one subclass gets it, and they added more in Tasha's. So why, if we're doing a lot of revisions in the new 5.5 D&D, why isn't Fighter just the Battle Master and each subclass gets unique access to maneuvers? I'll never know. Let me see. Oh, I see. You're doing the Gendo position. Understandable. Thank you. I'm glad I'm being Gendo'd perceived. So yeah, we have quite a few to look at, and that's why last night I was looking at what what to do. So, first off, oh god, my brain's now a bit of one. I know, oh yeah, we should probably just go Battle Master. So, one attack I know we want is Menacing Attack. This is just how we scare the shit out of people while punching them. So, with Menacing Attack, we really get to do our punk spooky nature of when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 superiority die to attempt to frighten the target. You add the superiority die to the attack roll's damage. And the target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, it's frightened of you to the end of your turn. So, this means with our fists, right? Our fists do a d8 plus 3 damage right now at level 3 fighter. And we can add another d8 on top of that with the superiority die. And then also potentially get someone frightened. If someone is frightened of you in D&D, the enemy essentially has disadvantage on attacks against you and cannot move closer to you as long as they see that you're there. So yeah, this basically can, if you're doing this close range, restrain where a person can go. If they try to run, you can have opportunity attacks on them, and also if they try to fight you, it's not gonna work out best for them. So I feel like that works well with the punk flavor. And also we get 3 of these, by the way. So if it feels like I'm picking quite a bit, don't worry, I'm thinking smartly. Another one I know we want is Pushing Attack. Now the reason why I have Pushing Attack is because Pangoro is stupid strong and is able to do things. I believe, where's the one that made me think about it in particular? Where's the dump truck one? Where's the dump truck one? Show me the dump truck. Yeah, Pangoro is the type to talk with its fist. It doesn't as much pummel its opponents with enough. It doesn't say much as it pummels opponents with enough energy to set a dump truck flying. So that really inspired me with the idea of him just like using sheer force to just like push people far away. And with the Pushing Attack, when a creature makes a weapon attack, you can expend 1 superiority die to attempt to drive the target back. Add superiority die to the attack's damage roll, and if the target is large or smaller, it must make a strength saving throw. On a fail, the target is pushed up to 15 foot away from you. So that's pretty far and can really be able for you not only to hit hard, with that again, possibly 2d8 plus 3 damage, but also allow you to control where this person's gonna go, and additionally set up things for your opponents. Say if you have a wizard coming up who's learning Lightning Bolt, really good to know how to push people really far to appropriately set them up for it, get them. So we're gonna have that Pushing Attack, and lastly, I believe, last one I had a bit of a debate on. No, bait and switch wasn't what I was looking at, so I think I was debating on distracting and goading attack. So I'm gonna look at these 2 again and really vibe which one I want. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you expend superiority die to distract the creature, giving your allies an opening. You add a superiority die to attack roll's damage, and the attack roll against the target by an attack, or other than you, has advantage. If the attack is made before the start of your next turn. Alright? So that gives your party a buff. You know, goading strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 superiority die to attempt to goad the target into attacking you. You add the superiority die to the target's damage roll, and the target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target has disadvantage on the attack roll against targets other than you to the end of your next turn. I think out of the 2, I'm gonna go with goading attack, because I like the idea of Pangoro is a person who does not tolerate bullying. Like, they don't appreciate people shitting on people, because I like the idea that Pangoro really likes being protective about other people, because I feel like, you know, as a young pan champ, they may have heard the rumors that wrestling was fake, but they refused to believe wrestling was fake. They believed it was real. They wanted it to be real, even when in it. So I think because of that, they really want other people to have their dreams and not have it be broken, or anyone who like tries to like enforce that or try to like be mean to people just trying to like live their life or live up to a dream. So I really like the idea of goading attack essentially being the pick on someone your own size and just like walk up, slam them, and go like, all right, talk to me instead, to make them go like, oh shit, and be distracted by them. Just focus on him. That, I really like that. Alright, so real quick, I have to go to the bathroom, but over this next minute or two while you listen to Best Pokemon Music Compilation by Sacred, I'm gonna hint, we're gonna multiclass next level. While I'm gone, guess what class we're going to multiclass into? Until then, I'm going to stare at you, because my reflection in my magic mirror just looks at you while I'm gone. It's kind of quirky. I'm gonna go now for a little bit. Alright, I am back, piss-free, and ready to keep on going. I will say, Retro March, unfortunately, the little squiggly symbol, it's not a class in D&D, so I'm really sorry. That doesn't count for our purposes tonight. Well, you know what? Thank you. I'm glad you welcomed me back. That's very nice. Alright, so we're going to be going into another class. And instead of fighter, what's this? Oh no, we're back at a level 1, and we're going into Barbarian, actually. So here's sort of my thought process, right? Like, Pangoro probably was in a campaign, maybe starting at level 3 or 5, depends. But I feel like after they were made to leave Sword Coast's WWE Fantasy World Extraordinaire Extravaganza Mega League, that's the actual canon name, and it's in, if you look in the Sword Coast guide, it's actually in there. So trust me, because I'm the only one who's even thought about Sword Coast Guide. So we're gonna be going into Barbarian, and this is when I imagine this is when Pangoro starts getting mad about the fact that wrestling isn't real and wants it to be real. And this is the point where they were like, whoa, 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 get back, dude, pull back, man. Like, it's just a show. It's like, it's not a show. This is a sport. This is the real fighting rings. I didn't sign up not to beat the shit out of others and be beating the shit out of others because they're good, not because it looks good on the stage. So yeah, and I feel like that's sort of the bad influence. They hung out with a lot of the heels. They wanted it to be real, and they're making it real, Buster. All right, so as we go into Barbarian, we're gonna get Rage. Now, Rage is a signature ability of Barbarians. What is this song? It's supposed to be Village Bridge. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting the vocals. The harmonies. Anyway, so with Rage, we're gonna get a few things. One, alright, so let me explain Rage real quick. So, on your turn, you can use a bonus action to Rage. When you Rage, you have advantage on strength checks and saving throws. So anything you want to do about athletics or pushing shit, you're gonna have advantage. You're gonna have advantage on standing your ground, because again, strength saving throws are mostly against having you be pushed or moved somewhere by a physical force. Additionally, when you make a melee weapon attack, you're gonna get some extra damage added onto it based on your Barbarian table, which for us is gonna be starting on +2. So, while we're raging, we can then do things like, say, go crazy, punk someone with a D8, use one of our maneuvers, which could be another D8, so that's 2D8, add our +3 from our strength, then add 2 more damage onto it, making it a 2d8 +5 if we use a maneuver, which is pretty solid. Excuse me. Additionally, we have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage while going knucking fights. Now, it's important to note, this does not mention if it's magical or not. I say this because some DMs may think it's non-magical damage, that's just normal damage it resists, but it resists all of them. So if your monster has magical attacks, that will not matter. It will still be halved. So that's something you should bring up to your DM if that's ever brought up. It is just flat on anything. Resistance to non-magical weapons is mostly a monster thing, not really a thing you as a player have to worry about. So yeah, things you need to worry about raging, you do have a few things. One, the rage lasts for 1 minute at most. So that's 10 rounds. If you're raging for 10 rounds, I would be surprised. The rage ends early if you are knocked unconscious or end your turn and have not attacked anyone or not been attacked or not taken damage. So you need to either get hurt or attack something to keep up rage. You can, though, burn a rage at the end of your turn if you want to, but I believe at level 1 you start off with 2 rages, so keep that in mind. And additionally, you can't cast or concentrate on any spells while raging, which may not sound important, but maybe become important later on. I wink at you directly. Alright. So, yeah, we're gonna have piercing, slashing, and bludge damage because I can't spell bludgeoning good. I'm not gonna pretend that I do. Here, Pangoro, you can move a little bit. There we go. And also... all damage. Alright, and that's... oh, we also get unarmored defense. So unarmored defense allows us to... yo, Pancham's in the Pokemon community game? Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, I hope I get that. That is... oh, that's so good timing. Alright, anyway. So unarmored defense allows us to, instead of use our dex, we can add our dex plus our con modifier to our AC. So for us, that's not super great because we didn't invest in dex that much, but that means if we're ever unarmored, we have at least 13 AC. Like, that is the lowest it can go. But, yeah. Oh. I didn't mean to copy that. Cool. That's fine. We're just gonna delete all of these. Copy this one. So we can be smart. Now we're at Barbarian level 2. Now, yes, we got the Pancham! Let's fucking go! I do want to say something, that if you are playing this build, how I am organizing this, at this point you would have extra attack. So you would be running a little bit behind, but also keep in mind, if you're making this at home, you could do it in any order you want. This is just the flavor I really like making it. So keep that in mind, because fun is the most important part of a D&D game. So yeah, if say we go to 5 levels of Barbarian, you want to do that first before you go into Fighter, that's super valid. I just want to mention that because I know some people may find that a problem if they're doing it exactly based off this build. At level 2, we get 2 abilities. One is Danger Sense, and the other is Reckless Attack. So, Danger Sense allows us to, that's sort of like our bamboo, predicting our enemies' movements. We are always on the edge and ready to get the fuck out of there, because if we ever need a dexterity saving throw against anything we can see, such as a trap or someone casting a lightning bolt at us, we essentially have advantage on most dexterity saving throws, which is pretty good because we didn't really invest much in dex. So we're just gonna get a better chance to avoid shit. Now, just be careful. If you're blind, deafened, or knocked the fuck out, this does not apply because you can't use your senses. But the blindness and deafness condition is not super common. But if your DM has magical darkness, because we can see in the dark, because pandas can see in the dark. I tapped my head knowingly. We're more likely to avoid traps and spells. Secondly, we get Reckless Attack. What Reckless Attack allows us to do is, at any point, we can just go like, hey man, I want an advantage in all my attacks. I really want that crit. I really want us to get that 2d8 plus a d8 from our Superiority die plus 5 damage. I really want that. And you can go, I want this. And DM's like, alright. But because you're going in so recklessly, anyone who attacks you until the start of your next round has advantage on you. Because you're going in really hard. Because, like, for example, think of it like this. You go in and you you do like a powerful hit on someone, you just get a nasty swing, like breaking a lot of ribs and everything, but you're doing it a wide swing. You're leaving like your whole left side vulnerable. Perfect enough for someone to swoop in and take that. So, but yeah, basically free advantage on dexterity saving throws and attacks, even if there's a cost. What? It's crazy. Now we get to level 3. Now level 3 is when we can achieve our goal. Oh, bear time. we can finally go full bear. And you may think, oh, is it this beast barbarian thing? Not quite. The beast barbarian is more if you want to be just a straight up werewolf or werewolf adjacent type player. No. We're gonna be looking at Totem Warrior. What the Path of the Totem Warrior subclass essentially is essentially a barbarian that is more attuned to nature. They use essentially power from a spirit animal. And oh, would you look at this? Bear's an option. So, initially what we're going to be able to do is at 3rd level, which, would you know, we are. So what we're going to do is a path. Totem Warrior. Sense and... So, with this, we automatically get 2 spells as a ritual. So, a ritual spell is essentially a spell you wouldn't use a spell slot for, but it can take 10 times as long to cast. So, if it's a spell that would act as a minute or 1 action, that's going to be about 10 minutes to cast. So, perfect if you have downtime. And with these spells, we can ritualistically prepare to speak to animals, to sort of vibe with them, as well as get beast sense, which allows us to see and hear through perspective of a beast for about an hour, I believe. So let me actually double check, because I don't really know beast sense that well. Yeah, touch for us to be about 10 minutes. You touch a willing beast. For the duration of the spell, you can use your action to see through the beast's eyes and hear from its ears. Hear what it hears. Continue to do so until you use your action to return to your normal senses, and you can do this up to an hour. So, yeah, this is essentially if you want to look ahead through an animal, you could. But that's not exactly what we're going here for. We're going here for Bear Totem. So, fun fact, with the Totem Spirit, you can shift into... You can mix and match these, but we're mostly going to go for bear exclusive. Now, I feel like the idea of the bear is probably us just going... Like, I feel like our boy's always been a panda, right? And this is just us getting more attuned to our panda-like fury. And with the Totem of the Bear, the Totem Spirit, when we rage, we will have resistance to all damage except psychic damage. The Spirit of the Bear makes you tough enough to stand up to any punishment. So, that means everything we'll be taking that is not assaulting our mind directly is going to do half damage while we're raging. Which is very ironic because we're a dark type, but we can't really... But getting resistance to psychic would mean we'd have someone on support doing that to us. But Bear Totem, half damage from all but psychic attacks, which is really good because again, that essentially doubles our hit points when we're raging. Which is a thing a lot of people go, the Bear Barbarian is knocking butts. So, we got that! Alright, so now we finally get to a 4th level. So we get to level 4, and at this point we have to debate, do we want ASI or do we want a feat? Now, let me see. So, let's just double check our goals. Alright, so I'm thinking... Because I definitely want to go all in our attack and con. But the thing is, which one I want to invest in more. I think we don't need to worry as much about con because we have invested into being Bear Totem, which doubles our health. And another thing I want to mention is when you multiclass, you take levels in a class. You take their hit dice. So as a fighter, we'd get like a D10 for our hit points, which is pretty big. And as a barbarian, we get a D12 hit die. So we're gonna have pretty good health going in on this. So we also have everything. I think we could afford going a lot more into strength right now in the immediate. So let's make that a simple ASI. ASI plus 2. Great. Alright, make this at level 5, and we finally get extra attack. Now, here's something I want to remind you. You may remember, in Fighter, we got a little ability called Action Surge. Now, nothing stops us from Action Surging while raging, because Rage does specify its bonus action. Action Surge, you can do whenever the hell you want. So, even if this is a turn you're just going in raging, you can not only go in crazy with your now 2 attacks while raging, your rage damage, I believe, also increases. Double check. Yeah, so this... Oh no, your rage damage is the same. You can rage more, though. Here, I'll have that in the last level. But we can Action Surge, which means we can Reckless Attack and have advantage on 4 separate attacks as we're going knocking butts. Which, I think that's beautiful. Four attacks. All advantage. So that I think is really cool. And additionally, we're gonna get a movement speed buff with fast movement. Now let me see how much fast movement gives us. Oh shit. Oh shit, I didn't know this. Primal Knowledge. We'll just get an extra... Okay, let's just go back. Apparently we're gonna get an extra proficiency. And I feel like we'll make it Animal Handling, because it has to be from the list of our Barbarian skills, and I feel like we're going to Path to Totem. I think it makes sense that we just learn how to vibe with animals. Because, hey, I see you kick that dog, I'm gonna kick you into space, bitch. Now let's check how much we get from extra movement. Fast movement? Ooh, we get a plus 10 movement speed. Which is pretty good. That makes our movement speed right now 40 feet, which really allows us to move around. which is very nice. Alright, now we're gonna go to Barbarian. Ooh, wait. Do I want to do the Barbarians? Let's see. I'm thinking here. Because I have more thoughts in my brain, and I want to see how I want to organize it. How would I see this boy going? You know what? I think I'm gonna be a mad lad. After I try to catch this muck. I think I'm gonna be mad lad. Because I think this is a good point to try. Let me check Totem Warrior. No, I'll do level 6 first. We'll go to level 6 here. So level 6, we get Aspect of the Beast, which is another bear totem feature. Here, we essentially get a powerful build, which allows us to carry twice as much as we normally do. So that allows, if you're not using encumbrance, like most people, you essentially have more of a chance to pull bullshit. You also have advantage on any strength checks made to push, lift, pull, or break objects, which is pretty nice. Build, carry twice as much shit, and an advantage on strength checks with lifting, pushing. Let's see. Lifting, pushing. Pulling. Or breaking. It's specifically heavy shit? Or just things? On just objects. Alright, so you want to break down doors? You have an advantage on breaking down doors as an angry bear, which I think that's funny. Alright, so now, what's this? No, we're not doing Barbarian. We're doing... What? What do we do? Bard? What? That's crazy. Why are we going into Bard, you may ask? Well, I'll get Bard ready, and then I'll tell you the answer. So, here's what I've been thinking, right? I imagine this is a bit after Pangoro went out and wanted to go into real fights. But he realizes, after he's been in the real world and been beating the shit out of monsters and horrible people, you know, being a heel, comma for good, he realizes sometimes people don't just listen to his fists. He's mastered the art of goading strikes, but he needs to master the art of talking shit. Absolutely dunking on people, both physically and mentally. So this is when we get the Bard. So our goal for the Bard is simply met with our goal to talk shit and demoralize. This is going to be our way to get pairing shot. So we're getting first level of Bard, and we're mostly gonna focus on just debuffs. That's our idea. Of course, we're gonna do a few more things, but our main idea is try to just debuff our enemies. So ideally, if we can't just go in there and fight, we can fuck around with our enemies and make it easier for others to hit, or even us. So yeah. Initially, we're going to get some... Let's go with Inspiration. So, Bardic Inspiration, we're not going to go too deep into Bard. We're only going to go a few levels. So we're only going to have a D6 for our Inspiration. And what Inspiration allows us to do is we can give it... We have as many Inspirations as we do Charisma, which unfortunately is just one. We don't have a lot of Charisma. But we can at least use this once. As bonus action, we can give someone a D6. For the next 10 minutes, the creature can use the D6 onto an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. And must wait. Yeah, they can wait till after the roll is made, but before the roll is declared a success or a failure. So if someone's not sure if they're gonna make that saving throw, you can just essentially go like, nah, you got this, kid. And give them a chance. Which is pretty nice. And you get it back in a long rest. We are only gonna have one, because we only get as many as our Charisma modifier, but it's something. Additionally, we're gonna get spells. So this is the part where things slow down for a little bit. Now we get to know 2 cantrips and 4 first level spells. So let's go to the Bard spells. Right here, we are going to immediately go for Vicious Mockery. Because if we're too far away to punch, we could at least talk shit to someone. So what Vicious Mockery allows us to do is we lash out a string of insults laced with enchantments at a creature you can see within range. If the target can hear you or understand you, it must succeed a Wisdom saving throw or take a D4 of psychic damage and have disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. So basically this is a way for us to go like, hey you can't even do this shit. What, you call yourself a fighter? I bet you can't even put me on the ropes, jackass. Like, they could do a whole Macho Man Randy Savage monologue to deal psychic damage to someone and make them insecure. Make them not feel like they're the cream of the crop, brother. Well, see, I'm the cream of the cream, because the cream always rises to the top. Me trying to remember Randy Macho Man Savage monologues by memory, which I do not have. Yeah, and if we ever feel that we're a bit too close from people, we can Thunderclap, which essentially allows us to create a big burst of thunder that can be hard to fit away, and each creature within 5 feet of us must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, to take D6 thunder damage. So basically, quick whole clap to do some immediate damage around you if you need to do, if you feel like you just want to do some passive damage instead of focusing on using an action surge to beat up everyone surrounding you. Now we get to know first level spells, so we get to go real crazy with this. Initially, first one that catches my eye is Bane. Bane is going to be a debuff spell that lets us target up to 3 creatures of our choice that we can see within a 30-foot range. And they all must make Charisma saving throws, which for a lot of monsters is not the highest stat. A lot of times in D&D you have to worry about if someone will pass a Dex or Con save, which are sort of the main stats that a lot of monsters will usually prioritize. So it's really cool seeing Charisma being one of the main ones here. If they fail to save, the all the target's saving throws and attack rolls will be subtracted with a d4. So, yeah, if anyone tries to attack other people, they're a lot less likely to do so, and they're also less likely to do well against your party members' fireballs, thunderbolts, or whatever. Which is pretty good, because keep in mind, you can't do these spells while you're raging. So this may not be the most meta build, but this may be good if you're not able to go head into a combat, like if you're a bit farther away and want other people to have a spotlight. Now, I'm gonna say, Barbarian, not always the most... Barbarian fighter together may not be the best, but hey, I think it's cool. I'm going with it. Silvery Barbs is going to be another good one that we're going to have. So Silvery Barbs is a reaction spell, which makes it really good, because you can just throw this in real quickly. Like if you aren't raging, or it's not your turn yet to rage, you can throw this spell out really quickly. If you can see someone within 60 feet of you that succeeds an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can magically distract that creature, turn that moment of uncertainty into a recurrent bit for another creature. So the person who succeeds, you can essentially force a disadvantage, force them to essentially roll disadvantage. And you choose a different creature you can see within 60 feet of you, including yourself. And the chosen creature has advantage on their next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw they make within a minute. And it's only used once. But it's really cool for you to essentially just go demoralize someone and then boost up one of your boys. So if someone's being a bully, you can point at their insecurities, make them weaker, and then bolster someone else. So it's very good, and it's a reaction. So again, if you roll lower on initiative and you can't get that rage going, good way to get a quick spell in and give your party an upper hand while also debuffing an enemy. Ooh, this one's pretty good. So Longstrider is a pretty simple spell, but it's not concentration, so you can keep this spell up while you're raging if you wanted to have it here or later. So, Longstrider is very simple. It increases your movement speed by 10 for an hour. So this can make your movement speed into 50 feet, which is pretty good. You can also, when you are able to cast at higher levels, add an additional feature onto it. So, this means you can have it. Probably when we're done with this class, we could probably have at least you and someone else having a 10-foot movement speed while not having to worry about concentration. You can keep this up while raging. Raging. Alright. Let's see, what's our last spell? What's our last spell from first level? Let's see, command could be interesting. Yeah, let's do command, because I think command's like a good way for, like, you know, you just telling people like, oh fuck, it'd be really cool. Okay, so how command works is you speak a one-word command to someone within 60 feet. They must make a wisdom saving throw, and that's what they're gonna do for their next turn. So if you tell someone to go like, come over here, they have to walk up to you in the fastest way they possibly can, till they're about 5 feet from you. You can make them go like, piss off, and make them run away. You can make them like drop dead and make them like go prone. You can make them drop what they're holding. You could just stop their move. You could just make them skip a turn and not move, which is really cool. And if you use a higher level, you could affect this on other people. But it could be a real good way to just establish your punk dominance. And it's again another one if you want to set someone else up for a good wombo combo. Next we get to Bard level 2. Now we will get one more spell. So let's see what other spell we'd want to get. Let's get, I don't know if we want Heroism, because Heroism could be pretty neat, but that's concentration, so we may not want that, because that's usually for battle. Why don't we just get that upgraded Thunderclap to Thunderwave? Thunderwave is a powerful thunderous force. Every creature within 15 feet in a 15-foot cube must make a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, they must take 2d8 thunder damage and push 10 feet away. On a success, they take half the damage and are not pushed. Any unsecured objects that are in addition, unsecured objects that are completely within the area of effect are also pushed 10 feet away from the spell's effect, and the boom creates a 300-foot loud blast. Sadly, it's late for me. I love what you're doing here. Keep it up. Thanks, Richard March. And again, if you want to check this out later, you can watch the VOD on YouTube. Also, Richard March, if you haven't already, before you leave, if you haven't already, you can go into my Discord, and later within the week, I will have a character sheet available if you ever want to see how this build looks like exactly when it's all finished at level 20, or if you wanted to play this as a character one day. Mach, like the speed of sound. Hell yeah! Yeah, and right now, if anyone's curious, on the Discord, we already have the Raichu build on there, which that goes to how you can one-shot an elephant. And we also have a Snowrun / Frostlass build, which has a lot of spells. It will look really weird on the character sheet because of how just prepared spellcasters are made. And it's gonna be a hot minute till I do a prepared spellcaster again here on stream. But yeah, we're just gonna have Thunderwave so we can have big blast, and also maybe if we just want, maybe not as much to do damage, because we can do a lot more damage with our fists, at least a lot more regularly, but also we could just blast shit. We could also be like, no, we want to break this shit down. Thunderwave, and we also get an ability for bards at level 2, known as Jack of all trades. Starting at 2nd level, we can add half of our proficiency bonuses, rounded down. We can add half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, to any ability check made with a skill we don't already have proficiency with. Wait, I want to check something there. At 2nd level, you start adding half your proficiency. Oh, it doesn't matter what class you're in. Okay, cool. So, that means right now, our total is level 3, 9, 11. So we're level 11 at this point, which means we get at this point to add +2 to any skills we're not proficient with. Which is pretty nice, and we got a Song of Short Rest. So with Song of Short Rest, we get to essentially help out when we're having a short rest. We can hear our performance, so we could just be vibing, telling stories about our time in the ring or people we were inspired by as a young Pancham, and allow them to get an extra d6 to their hit points when they're rolling their hit die. So it's a small healing buff for rest. For resting. It's gonna be our last bard level. And the reason why is because we're gonna pick a special subclass to allow us to help talk shit. And that is surprisingly going to be the College of Lore. Now, the College of Lore, we're going in for this one ability alone, and it's called Cutting Words. This is our pairing shot. So, Cutting Words allows us to use our one bardic inspiration to sap the confidence of others. So think of this as like a boosted, vicious mockery. When a creature within 60 feet of us makes an attack roll, ability check, or damage roll, we can reduce that roll with a bardic inspiration. So we can see someone coming in and just demoralize them, subtract a d6 from whatever they roll, which can be really good. We can use feature before we determine if it succeeds or not. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for us to have that pairing shot to just be like, no, you didn't. Hey, what do you think you're doing? And we also get 3 more proficiencies. So I guess we'll look at. I'm just gonna look at D&D character sheet, because I always forget about skills. All right, so okay. All right, so we already have athletics, we have animal handling, we have acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, we have history, we have insight, we have intimidation. I think those are the only 6 spells we have. Or not spells, skills. Oh, and history. Alright, so in that case, we can get. We can maybe get now performance. We've learned. I feel like before we didn't really learn how to perform because we were just real ass beating the shit out of people in the ring. But maybe now, Pangoro learning less to be a brute, but learning more how to demoralize others and demoralize the people who are being the bullies, and letting the victims have a chance to help beat the shit out of their abuser, which I feel like is totally why he went to the bar. It's like, no, I could beat the shit out of him, but maybe, hey kid, go get him. You know, like, and maybe performance is a lot more of the idea of calling people out, learning how to make it a big deal, get a lot of people's attention, and, you know, make things look a lot more important than they are. Performance. Let's see. We could also get, got insight. Why don't we get nature so we know the good bamboo to work with? And then just persuasion, so we know how to talk to the underdog. Like, I don't feel like it's us knowing how to talk out of a situation, but more to cheer people up and get people to work with us to beat up someone who we really, really want to beat up, like, really badly, like this motherfucker. Alright, so we got 3 more proficiencies, and we get expertise in 2 skills that we have. So, why don't we look at skills we already have? We got... I think the skills we're really going to get expertise in are going to be... I think athletics and intimidation. Because I feel like that's what we're really good at. Athletics. Intimidation. So that way we're really good at doing athletic stuff and scaring people. You may ask, so what does expertise even mean? Expertise allows us to double our proficiency bonus on something we are already good at. So, excuse me, as an example, at this point, we are 6 plus... We're level 12 right now. That is our current total level. So that means our proficiency bonus is plus 4. So that means, normally, with something we're proficient with, we have at least a plus 7 on. For our athletics, we'd have a plus 7 to our athletics. But now with expertise, that plus 4 becomes a plus 8, plus 3, so that's a plus 11 to athletics. Which is really good. Wait, no, it's plus 4 now. So it'd be plus 12 athletics. It's really good. And now we just gotta look at one more spell. Yeah, we can get another spell, and we can make this a 2nd level spell. So we can look and see what we want our funky 2nd level spell to be. Let's see. Calm emotions? Nah, fuck that shit. I want people to be aggro, motherfucker. Ooh, Enthrall's not concentration. That could be good. Enthrall. Because this one I'm just curious on. You weave a distracting string of words, causing creatures of your choice that you can see within range can hear you make a wisdom saving throw. Any creature that can't be charmed succeeds the saving throw automatically. And if you or your companions are fighting a creature, it has advantage on the saving throw. Makes sense. On a failed saving throw, the target has advantage on wisdom. Disadvantage on perception checks made to perceive any other creature other than you until the spell ends, and the target can no longer hear, or the target can no longer hear you. The spell ends if you are incapacitated or can no longer speak. Okay, so that could be a good way for this punk to be like, hey, hey, I have a bone to pick with you, and try to distract people, or distract a target. Maybe engage in diverting aggro, though in combat that could be pretty risky, especially because our charisma isn't really that high. So we're not gonna have a super high DC. But the thing is, we wouldn't have concentration on it, which could be really cool if we just want to beat the shit out of someone. Knock would be funny. I don't think Knock should be our capstone spell. You know what? I think Enhance Ability is actually kind of cool because, you know, I kind of like the idea of the Bard arc. The Bard arc, I feel like, is Pangoro, like, no longer... So, okay. Like, Fighter arc was Pangoro starting his life, like, just wanting to beat the shit out of people in a ring because he thought it was cool. Barbarian arc was him after he beat the shit out of people in a wrestling ring and wanted to just fight people and go feral. And Bardark is more him going like, oh, hey, I beat the shit out of a lot of these guys for like these kids. You know what? Maybe I should make them better. You know, like, hey, maybe I should give them a chance so we can work as a team. You know, like I feel it's a lot more him trying to